What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Danny Code, DC, UPenn's finest, Chris Coulter, CB, Culture Boy. We got another great episode for you guys today. We will be talking about lots of playoff basketball, but the real topic is we are answering the biggest question, or one question, for every team that's currently in the playoff picture. From 1, we'll go through 10 for play-in teams, East and West. So we'll be covering 20 different teams today. If your team is just outside of that, number, start looking towards Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, and those boys. And of course, before we get into any of that, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications so you don't miss an upload from any of the great shows on here, and then go over to the audio platforms, leave a follow, like the episode, download the episode, 5-star review, all the good stuff to push that algorithm. Let's swing it to Danny for those summits and plummets.
Yeah, I will say, my plummet has been the same thing for a while now. My summit, it finally broke. The weather is finally starting to break. It's like
pipe down now. I still see 39 degrees this week coming up. So
that's a nighttime. Doesn't matter. We're talking about peak. We're not talking about floor raisers. We're talking about ceiling raisers.
52 degrees is breaking, dude. 52 is freezing. I'm gonna be honest with you,
man. That's been beautiful lately. I walked
52 is freezing. They need to stick you in Antarctica if you think that's nice.
Man, after what we've experienced the last few months.
We witnessed our planet acting normal. Oh, God forbid, man. 52 is still cold. Very cold.
Yeah.
I need 70 plus. I'm going to be real honest with you.
I need 80 plus. That's why I'm going to flirt her. But,
I need 80 plus while you were just yippee for 49 degree weather.
Man, I'll take any break.
Make up your mind, man.
I'll take any break. My ideal is 75 plus, but come on now.
You just said we're starting to break at 52.
We're starting to break. We get up to 50. We get up to high 50s this week. It's starting to. But no, a double summit is going to be the Sixers finally get forced to make a decision. Embiid is shut down for the year. Probably going to have surgery. Thank God, because this team's just is doing a disservice to the city of Philadelphia. We sacrificed a mediocre franchise to see a great franchise win. So there is no downfall there at all.
I sacrifice nothing. I'm a winner through and through. All he does is win. As one would say. We did it, as one would say.
And Embiid said, "I sacrificed my knee for the Eagles."
He sacrificed his knee for the Eagles. If teams if that actually worked that way, if one team's downfall would land, the other team would be going up, that would be pretty crazy. I'm gonna assume it's it would have to be Eagles Sixers and then Phillies Flyers. It would have to work that way. The Flyers are, the fact they're even remotely 500 is,
Yeah, I did want to bring up the funniest thing I heard today. The Eagles are above 500 for the first time in franchise history after the Super Bowl win.
Wow. Yeah, there were some bad years.
No, they lost their first game ever and have never been above 500.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
There was some really rough.
That's crazy.
70s were rough. 80s were. The Randall Cunningham years are very glorified because he was flashy and we had a nice defense. But
shout out to Randall.
Yeah, I mean, the OG, the scrambling Randall. But
without Randall, there's no Mike Vick, no Cam Newton. Thank you, Randall.
No Cam, no RG3, no Jalen, no Lamar.
There is no Michael Jordan without Randall Cunningham.
Here's my argument. Randall Cunningham is the NFL's Allen Iverson.
In reality,
leaving preseason games to go on date with celebrities
Aura,
or he invented Aura.
That's actually
at the quarterback position. If I'm being honest, Joe Montana was cool, but this is different Aura.
Very different.
He was he was like Justin Fields at that time. Where he was exciting. He had aura. He wasn't Steve Young. He wasn't Troy or Brett Favre. But he had aura. So who cares?
Chris, you better hope he doesn't do what Wilt did.
Well, no, I'm saying as far as his aura field, because Wilt did crazy things. But if you ever see pictures of Wilt, he was always super fresh.
Yeah,
Always.
I would say
No
there's not a
basketball pictures.
single off the court picture of Wilt Chamberlain that's not maxed out aura.
Yeah, like bro, he was so fresh. He never buttoned up his shirts. Like if I was Wilt, I would never. But his shirts were like it'd be like this far down and just chest out and
Yeah,
no undershirt.
yeah, he was doing his thing.
Shout out Wilt.
But let's move to you, Chris, for your Summits and Plummets.
Summit is that on this past Friday I went to a concert. One of my favorite artists, Side Baby, was in Dallas. A very small, not small, a decent sized venue. And I would say he's a niche artist. Like if you like his music, you like it. But if you don't like it, it's not easy to not like it type of thing. But everybody who was in there, they knew all the words. Like it felt like a kickback with all your friends, just listening to music. It was like one of those type of vibes. It was really cool. One of my frat brothers came down, so we kicked it and enjoyed it. I hadn't seen him in a little while, so that was dope. Just to go to the concert, have a good night after that and stuff around Dallas. So yeah, that was cool. That's my first summit. And my second summit is I had to cross my fingers. I'm supposed to be going to see LaMelo versus Kyrie Thursday, but we know how LaMelo's ankles get. So I'm just hoping for it. I just need 3 days of no ankle turns. They play tonight against the Kings. Kings, you better not. If I look up and see LaMelo Ball headed to the locker room, I'm going to lose my mind.
He said,
this will be the third time in a row. This will be the third time in a row that I went to go see him and haven't been able to see him play. But all things considered, that's my other summit. Hoping going to see him versus Kyrie on Thursday. So yeah, I think I'll leave with a double summit.
Is it as cheap as Sixers Bulls for $2?
No, they should actually be free because you have to watch.
What's Buzelis versus Kelly
Buzelis? Yes, he's Boo Boo. Boo Boo Buzelis, yes. And then you get to watch Vucevic Mane, as some would say.
And Andre Drummond, bro. Vucci Man versus Andre Drummond.
Drummond's my guy. He's all right with me. I'll tell you that right now.
Chris, you can love Drummond as much as you want.
I do.
Bro, we watched him play some of the worst basketball of all time against the Celtics.
Hey, it happens. The Sixers are a bad team, so you're going to get bad basketball. It's just like Kuz. Kuz's been playing really good on the Bucks. He was on the Wizards playing really, really bad. Why did you get the bad team?
Drummond not even really that bad. It's just like some players just don't have the Nick Nurse had some audacity throwing him out there against a healthy Celtic squad. Like, you got some nerve, bro. That was hilarious. I think Embiid played, 25 minutes, maybe?
30 minutes.
I hardly saw him on the floor. He probably got 3 or 4 post-up opportunities against Horford and Porzingis. Didn't score on him, by the way.
Should have been playing. It was just out there for just because.
Yeah, he was def just out there doing anything. But yeah, I would say my summit has been that my favorite player and my favorite team has the switch now. The Celtics have that switch. They're on a 5-game win streak. The Knicks, who are one of their most perceivable threats in the conference, are just a non-problem. Like let me actually read off this stat to y'all real quick. Per NBA tracking analysis, over the 3 games between New York and Boston, Mikal Bridges has been the primary defender on Jason Tatum for just about 70 possessions. In those possessions, Tatum is 61% from the floor, 8 for 13, 4 for 7 from deep, which is 57%, and has dished out 7 assists, no turnovers. That's the highest field goal percentage by Tatum against all players who have defended him for 60-plus possessions. So the person they have brought in, and I'm going to include OG, even though the stats don't say it, and the guy they paid to stop him can't do it. So it's good to see that he seemingly has a switch that he can turn on whenever he likes. The team has a switch in general that they can turn on when they like. And I feel like that switch and Kristaps Porzingis post-up opportunities go hand in hand. Because, Kristaps was killing those boys. It was a bad thing. I'll probably go double summit. We'll probably talk a little bit more about this later anyway. But, I mean, JJ Redick is just that dude. I watched the clip of him in the locker room talking to his guys, saying, Luka, welcome back, 4 steals, talking to Rui and Vando. It was a geek. He said Bron. Anyone that guarded Jokic, he looked back at Bron. He said, "You guarded him like 3 times." But it's definitely things are looking up over there in LA. Usually the 40-20 rule, 40 wins before 20 losses, is usually who dictates who can win an NBA title. There are 2 exceptions to the rule. I can't remember the first team, but the other team was 04 when they traded for Rasheed Wallace in the middle of the season. So they didn't hit 40-20, but they became the best team in the league after they got him, and they went on to, become one of the most famous champions of all time.
They said it would be awesome to see a Warriors-Lakers Western Conference final.
It would be interesting. The Warriors are a very interesting team because apparently all AirPods needed was someone to bring out his quirked up white boy abilities. And Jimmy just happens to know how to do that with TJ McConnell, with Tyler Hero. Was there anyone white in Minnesota? No.
Kevin Lutson.
No one of substance when he was there. Was there?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know these rosters. I'm trying to think of anybody who matters.
Chicago not named Kirk Heinrich because he had the sauce. He didn't need it. The captain
Does
did
Joe
not.
Ingles count?
Did who count?
Joe Ingles? No, Joe Ingles has on or he's Paul George's father, so never mind. He doesn't need it. No.
That's crazy.
Never mind. He doesn't. He just doesn't need it. I forgot.
Since all this summits, I did want to drop an honorary plummet to wrestling the poop games.
What?
So when the Phillies played the Pirates,
You gotta say poop series.
the poop games.
I didn't know that.
It's the poop series. It's always been that way. Here you
what's
go
the
with your
games. I need them.
vulture culture stuff.
So Chris, when the Phillies played the Pirates, the game would start 0-0 P00P.
Oh, facts. Oh, that is kind of cool, low key.
So they changed the score bug for NBC Sports Philly now. So now it just says like PHI or like
Pitch rolling. We had real aura.
That's low key kind of lit. I never noticed that either. That's fire.
Yeah, very niche things between in-state rivals.
Well, that's cool.
Very
though,
nice.
That is really cool. I actually never peeped that. I've never seen that.
They hating on us. They changed the scoreboard.
That's cool.
Every team got their own little niche thing. So
they should have kept it. That's lame. They hate it.
Yeah. They changed the score bug. It just says like Philadelphia now.
Oh, boo.
That's
boo boo.
Yeah, that's boo boo for sure.
Boo boo Schmidt.
But let's move on to the one question thing where we go team by team and we're all going to say the one question that we have for that team. We'll start with the East. We'll go in order. We'll start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Danny, do you want to start? What's one question you have for the Cavs that they need to figure out before we get into the playoffs?
Can your wings show up in the playoffs? Figure that out before you get to the playoffs. Because if your wings can't show up, you're not beating the Celtics.
Yeah. I mean, I had it worded just a little bit differently. All I had was, will the others show up? So basically, outside of the 2 guards, outside of the 2 bigs, is everyone else going to do their job?
Same thing.
And I think they will.
They could.
Obviously going to need a little bit more time with Hunter getting used to the flow of things. It's you could argue this year that he had the second or third, biggest green light in Atlanta, and then you go on over to Cleveland, you have a lower green light than Jared Allen, which respect Jared Allen, that's a dang near 2010 guy, but we're talking offensive prowess. He's not necessarily a guy you'd want to be behind if you're someone of Hunter's caliber. But if he can figure out how to make the most of his shots, Strus is starting to get into form. Ty Jerome has been great. Milk, if you know, you know. They were like, whose nickname's Milk? They were like Ty Jerome. Back when he was the 19 class with Zion and them, right?
Indeed, yeah. Was Virginia legend, by the way. Please,
yeah. They were all like, who is Milk?
He's been good. I'm so happy he's getting love right now. But Ty Jerome's been like
Yeah, he's a beast.
Really good at what he does. He's really good.
So, Chris, what did you have? Basically the same question.
Nope. I think. My question is this the year you will choose? Question mark. Choosing
Okay.
between. Are you going to choose to have two guards that are small or two bigs that are big? Because in reality, Evan Mobley needs to be the 5 to be the most effective. Like Anthony Davis to an extent. Like his speed advantages, all of his advantages are at the 5. Playing him at the 4, you're making him step out and shoot 4 to 5 threes a game, which is fine. But you want that to be something he doesn't have to do, but he just does. You know what I'm saying? I think now he has to do that because you don't start Hunter at the 3 yet. You don't do these things yet. And I think it's all because you're trying to play around the two bigs too small. So I think this is the year that hopefully when they lose again to whoever they lose to, they choose one of the two. Either Garland and Mitchell are going to be your 2, or you're going to do Allen and Mobley. I don't think you can win and do good in regular season. Like doing good in regular season with this formula is going to be great. But in the playoffs where you have to choose, because at some point you're going to have to sit Jared Allen, or I'm doubt you sit Mobley. You're going to have to do that. And then it's going to waste the time if you're paying them everybody $20+ million a year. So it makes no sense.
So, to answer the question, would you propose that maybe before the playoffs, because Missoula loved to experiment, Redick is an experimenter for sure. Do you think that Atkinson maybe experiments in closing time with, maybe Jared Allen, you're going to go to the bench, Mobley's going to finish out this game, and
he's been doing
maybe
a little
that's
bit.
how. Yeah, I would say that's how maybe the close playoff games will go.
Yeah, because I think, like I said, Mobley gets in a lot of foul trouble still. He still has some issues with foul trouble. That's why I understand keeping the Jared Allen. But I think closing the game with Hunter at the 4, kind of like the Hawks were doing before Jalen Johnson emerged, that's probably going to be a best bet to open up the floor for everyone, to where Donovan Mitchell has even more space to be able to create and do what he needs to do. And Darius Garland is one of the best off-ball shooting point guards in the NBA. You kind of give him more chance where you have Mitchell on the ball more and doing stuff like that. And you give Ty Jerome more. It's just, I think you have more options you can play with. So I just want to see, what they do with that. But that's my question. Like, is this the year you choose, or do you run it back again?
Yeah. And we can move on to the other top team in the conference, presumably the favorite in the Eastern Conference, despite what the records say, the Boston Celtics. My question for them was, can they find a way to repeat what they did last year if Kristaps goes down again? Because with Kristaps, they're unbeatable. No one's going to beat this team in a 7-game series. OKC probably has the best shot, but you'll give the champions the benefit of the doubt. And then maybe Denver. Lakers won't. Lakers won't beat Boston in a 7-game series.
I think 100% got a better chance than everybody but the Thunder. No team in the East.
I think that's fine. Because we won't act like that Luka didn't give the Celtics zero problems, because he did. I mean, started off quarters hot, got everybody involved, all that kind of stuff. But that was kind of like what the Celtics wanted to do. It's like, yeah, you go get your 30-point triple-double. PJ's going to be ineffective this series. Derek Jones Jr. is not going to exist, and all sorts of things. And then you have LeBron James. So I think maybe off that alone, I think you could argue that, at least out west, or in general. But I would still pick Boston over the 29 other teams. But again, back to my point.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, back to my point. Back to the question is, they steamrolled the NBA playoffs without Kristaps Porzingis. He had that big game 1, and then played a couple games in the Miami series. Realistically, he could have just never had a second of playoff basketball. The Celtics were still going to steamroll. So my question is, you probably won't get off that easy with a really truly improved Cavs team, a Bucks team that now has not necessarily a third star, but like a third really good player in Kuz. Damian Lillard is much better than he is last year, so that team is automatically better than what they were. Not to get into the deep cuts of the conference, but like, hey, the Pistons are like this year's Magic. They're pretty fun. The Magic always play the Celtics hard. You probably won't have that much of an easy time as you did last year. So if Porzingis gets hurt, which I guess health could be another question, can y'all still shoot lights out? Can you simply work the game plan around Tatum and let him dictate the pace of the game. And then, of course, I think defensively they'll be fine. They'll probably let up a lot of paint points, but 3 is more than 2. And that's been Mazzulla's theory for two and a half seasons. So that's what I got for my team.
Yeah, simply put for me, it's going to be bench unit contribution with health. The Celtics are 8 players that can all rotate and do the same exact thing.
Besides Luke, but Luke's cool. So.
Yeah, Luke's cool. But
Luke can't let it fly, but Luke's playable.
So, yeah, the Celtics are just trying to – can the bench unit provide healthy minutes off the bench? If not, they might need Tatum to play 47 minutes.
I have no problem with that. You will not see me complain nor
What
him.
Tibbs? What are you, Tibbs, man?
No, bro, we're going to get to the point where, like, Tatum's going to have, like, a LeBron game where, like, they're down 3-2, or it's, like, not win or go home, but it's, like – I'm talking, like, played – every second of the game. Like, it does not sit for a single moment. Or like in 2018 when he played LeBron in Game 7, LeBron would literally sit for like the last 30 seconds of every quarter. And the Cavs would just find a way. All right, we don't even got to score. If we can just stop them in those last 30 seconds, then it's like us getting a shot off is just a bonus. So, something like that. But I like what you said, because Sam Hauser can be streaky. Pritchard's been fine all year. I don't really have much questions about him.
25 ball.
Yeah, he's a beast. Horford, a timeless classic. I mean, his longevity obviously won't get talked about the way Bron, KD, Curry, Chris Paul, not like those guys, but I'll notice it though. I'll keep it. I'll keep a tab on it. Chris, what's your question for the reigning champs?
I had 2, but I think the one I'm gonna stick to is are Drew and Derek Holiday gonna be able to do it again? And the do it again thing, y'all know how much I love Drew Holiday. First and foremost, he is one of the best 2-way guards to ever play this game, and I want people to understand that. And don't forget, just because he's on the Celtics now, he doesn't have to do nearly as much that he can't, because he can't. But my question is, those 2 are probably the biggest unsung heroes to me last year to that Celtics team, only for the simple fact they did everything that the other 2, meaning Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, were doing, but they did all the small things too. The main reason why I think the Celtics give everyone's trouble is because the starting 5 is very switchable. 1 through 5, pretty much. Even White and Drew Holiday can guard post players for a second. Like I watched Karl Towns not be able to do anything against Drew Holiday. Not surprised because it's Drew Holiday, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? That's important. Like that's important to do, because now if JT does need a spell, you can run 3 guards out there and still have a post defender. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just they give you a lot of versatility. So them being able to do that defensively, I think they'll be able to do it because it's about effort. And I think those 2 people are some of the best effort givers in the NBA. But his offense, I've seen Derek White be a little streaky this year, like a little off at times. And I think he's been one of the more consistent pieces over in Boston. So that would be my only question. Just because he hasn't been as consistent as he has been. But I mean, at the end of the day, Derek White is big time as far as big time players go. So I always respect those type of guys. I think he's going to still make big shots, but it's like those 3 for 11 3-point games, can't have that many of those for Derek White. Like, you know what I'm saying? You need more of those where he's efficient, his 16 points are on 8 shots. You know what I'm saying? That type of game is still locking up. I think you need more of that. Or you're going to put more on Pritchard. It's just, like I said, I think they have a lot of good problems, if you can say that. But I think Drew and Derek White being really close to what they were in that last playoff run is going to be the biggest thing to them, because like you said, Tom, they were able to do it without KP because of those 2 guys being KP. In a sense, being able to guard and being able to still fill that 20-point void that he gave you. So that's my biggest question. Can Derek White and Drew Holiday do it again?
Yeah, I like that one. I agree with everything you said. The team is so good. I'm kind of just like, wow, former All-Star Drew Holiday is my point guard, and he's the 5th option. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just so overstimulating.
Man,
it's good problems to have, bro. I'm telling you.
Really is. It really is.
If this was the NFL, you could be like former Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley.
Come on, Drew earned his 2 All-Stars. He earned one of those All-Stars in your city. You kidding me?
I'm kidding.
Come on, man. That was a young Drew. But let's move on to every team from this point most certainly has real issues. Starting with the New York Knicks, who sit at the 3rd seed, 4 games behind Boston, 4 games ahead of Indiana. And Stat updated yesterday: 0-7 against the league's elite, Cleveland, Boston, and Oklahoma City. Chris,
Well,
I
not
want to
even just
start.
the league's elite. They're even worse against teams that are just above 500.
Yeah, 500 and above teams in general, they're 11-14. They run the pockets of the bottom feeders, as you should. No one's hating you for that. But Chris, I want to start with you on this one though. They're 37-20. They're the 3 seed. What do the Knicks need to answer before they get into the playoffs so that they can close the gap between them and the upper echelon?
How did you let Michael Bridges and OG Anunoby trick you? How'd you let both of them do it? That's my biggest question.
I don't think OG tricked them.
No,
I think
OG tricked them, bro. As a defender, absolutely not. What he was brought in to do, no. To go get you 20?
No, he can't get 13. And defense has been gassed because nobody on this Knicks team plays defense. He has not been defending well. His per numbers may say so, but he has not been defending well in real life. Him or Bridges have not done well. So my problem is you screwed Brunson to an extent. Because now the ball's out of his hand even more. Now adding Cat, I'm cool with that. But now you have to spread shots to those guys who aren't even worth that, in my opinion. So that's my play question. But my real question for the Knicks is, are you guys going to play defense? That's my real question. A Tibbs team not playing defense is doesn't even make sense. When you say that out loud, it doesn't make sense. And I think the reason, and I think the reason they can't play defense is because Cat is now playing center, which I told everybody he is a 4. That this is what it is. He cannot protect the rim. He's not a post defender, and that's not even a knock. It's just a fact. He's one of the best scoring bigs the game has seen in recent memory for sure. So I think you brought an answer, and then you gave yourself a problem. Now, when Mitchell Robinson comes back, maybe that changes because maybe Cat moves to the 4. But what happens with Hart, Bridges, and Anunoby? One of those 3 maybe don't start anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's just you're adding more problems when you bring your fix back. So I think the biggest things are going to be able to play defense because in the East, you can probably live without scoring almost everybody except for the Celtics. Because I think Tone mentioned this in an earlier point. They shoot 3s, not 2s. Well, they shoot 2s too, but they shoot more 3s than 2s. So even if you're able to score and get buckets, you're still going to be chasing to an extent. So the team that it matters for you to beat, the Celtics, I think you still have the same problem you had last year, not being able to score enough and not being able to guard enough. But against the other East, you can fool yourself and even make East Conference Finals if you can get to 2, to the 2 seed and just wait out the Celtics. But I think they'll still have bigger problems. So, yeah, I think defense is the biggest deal. The depth is one thing, but I think if you can't defend, you won't even be able to get to the depth because you'll be down 20, 30 points anyway.
I like that. I would agree with that a lot. The Cat acquisition, Cat has been great. He's going to make All NBA this year for sure. He's been phenomenal.
Deserved.
But I've said this before, they got caught from behind by reaching forward too much. Because even with Boston, like you're trying to get, like Cat is of course an offensive firepower, action. OG, when he had the green light in Toronto, looked like an offensive, like maybe like a second, third option guy. But now you take the ball out of his hands and his shots are coming at a premium. And basically the point is that you used to be this stout defensive team. The version of the Philadelphia 76ers I had in my head would have tore the Knicks apart because now you have Cat guarding Joel Embiid. Like that's
and the Sixers were just healthy.
Well, the Sixers are bad at basketball. They're definitely not what I envision in my head. Good for me, but I would say the same thing as you, Chris. I'm in love with the offense. Cat, Brunson, they're doing their thing. But Mikhail, they just traded a king's ransom for you. They gave 6 first-round picks for you. OG, they just paid you $200 million. You're getting paid more than a star player. Which, like, that's fine when it's like Jaylen Brown getting paid, and Tatum's extension is coming next year. It's no big deal. But you got your bread, and then Brunson was like, no, I'm going to sign for less, which they were probably talking about before.
Tobias Harris Part 2.
Nope, y'all already got that. We already got that with PG. We can say OG, though, because OG never made an all-star. Like, of course, on your own bad team, you're going to look good. I definitely get where you're coming from.
But yeah.
So, yeah, I'm the same thing.
At least Paul George has like a track record.
Oh, yeah, of course. I don't think it deserved that contract, but...
No, not at all.
The track record could back it up a little bit. Danny, we both think it's, where is this Tibbs defense at? Where do you think the question lies with New York?
I think it's Hart. Not Josh Hart, but Hart itself. um, so
That's
yeah,
funny.
but yeah, like they need to show some heart. They need to it kind of relies on defense, but they kind of look a little lethargic against better teams. They look like they're just being beat physically. So
You know what I seen, Danny, when I was watching them play the other day?
the Celtics,
Yeah, when they played the Celtics, I was like, it looked like they didn't really start playing until they knew the game was over. So it was
yep,
like, all right, bet, let me show you I can at least keep it close. And it was
Sixers
like,
doing the same thing this year.
that's weird for Thibodeau teams because, as you said, Hart is usually like, at least you got to play for something. I think that's why Tibbs plays Hart 57 minutes a game because he knows that's it. Like
He'll
outside of
try. He's not good at it, but he'll try at least.
Who, Josh Hart? Don't you know my love for Josh Hart? Don't you play with Josh Hart?
Bro, I love
The
Josh
best
Hart.
rebounder forward ever in history of the game.
Josh Hart's a beast. I would honestly put Josh Hart as the least of their concerns. Me
I
personally.
agree.
I think he's second best player after Brunson. I mean Towns. And then Duncan. Then
Okay.
him. It's
Yeah,
them
so
three.
he'll be third. He does have the third green light, but he's the third best. That's how I feel about Boston. Like I think Derek White's the third best player. Do I? If we in runs, I'm not picking him over Kristaps Porzingis. Don't get me, but I think he's the Swiss Army, impactful guy. Which is funny because Josh Hart said Derek White is more impactful than Jason Tatum. I say if you rip Jason Tatum off of that team, they're not seeing the light of the Eastern Conference. I promise
That's
you.
because Jalen Brown's will be running the team, and you know what happens when that happens.
Yeah, I love Jalen Brown.
You know what happens.
The difference is notable once JT
They'll be
gets
the
on the
Kings,
court.
unfortunately.
You still go look, and here's the thing: even the way JB hunts on defense, you still gonna get fast break opportunities. So the points gonna be the same. We gonna be good. Get into the half court. How about we let Drew run it? But okay, we're all kind of in the same area: defense, heart, kind of all the same things. Let's move on to the 4 seed, the Indiana Pacers, who kind of got off to a slow-ish start. Halliburton got off to a very slow start to the season. Now has beef with Tim Hardaway. But what is y'all question for the Indiana Pacers?
Benedict Mathurin.
Okay,
What version will we see?
I like that. Because I would say we have the world's biggest Benedict Mathurin fan on the panel. So, yeah, Ben can be. He could truly be the second best player on this team, like the championship version of this roster currently.
He'd be the best.
I think Tyrese's engine abilities just put him at number one. He might not be the prior, it would be a Steve Nash type of number one. Never as efficient as Steve Nash. Let's not get it tripping, but no, I like that one, Danny. Chris, what's your question for Indiana?
I have a few, and I think it really remains like at that 4 and 5 spot. Like, what are you gonna do at the 5? And the reason I say that is because I think Miles Turner is. I mean, obviously he's at 5. He's really good, but I personally think they play better with Obi Toppin at the 5, just because it goes more with their get out and run style. He can shoot threes as well. If he can block shots at a decent rate, I think he would be the best fit. But I think it's just what are you going to do at the 5? Because I think that kind of not slows them down, but with the way they play, I think he's the one cog that I think you can make a move on. And I think that's the place where they're going to pick on too, because you already have to guard. Halliburton has to guard in the pick and roll as well. The way Turner has to play on this team, he has to protect the rim because nobody can really stop from getting to the rim. It's like you give or take. So I think what are you going to do at the 5? I think for offense, you need Obi Toppin, and I think for defense, you need Turner. So I think which one my question is, which one are you going to sacrifice at that point? Like, what are you going to do at the 5?
I love that question as well. It's a legit give and take, like you said. I would say one question I certainly don't have about them is Pascal Siakam, who seemingly has worked great in his time there.
Yeah, I was the biggest hater.
He's been playing really well. A true professional that Spicy P is. Crazy name, but I think for me, it's how can we get Andrew Nembhard more into the flow of this offense? Because of course, last year when Tyrese went down, he killed the Celtics. Like absolutely killed them. He was doing really good. And he's been fine this year. The 3-point shot is down. The efficiency is so on 10 points a game. But I think in the playoffs, all these other teams got somebody coming off the bench and really lighting it up. Peyton Pritchard. You got Ty Jerome, who are probably the two leading candidates for Sixth Man of the Year. Even New York. You have Deuce McBride coming off the bench, and he's, lighting it up. So every team has these guards or wings that are coming off the bench and able to provide a good, efficient 10 to 12, which is what Nembhard's doing. The problem is that me and Danny watched it. If Pritchard is on fire, just give him the ball. On a team that employs 2 All-NBA players, if Peyton Pritchard is letting it fly, just let him rock out. I just want to see him get Andrew Nembhard involved in that kind of way, but definitely like the other points that y'all brought up, especially the Ben Mathurin one.
Why not let it fly?
Why not let it fly? Come on. Let's move on to I guess technically the backside of the bracket, but a half game behind the Pacers sit the Milwaukee Bucks. Now the 5th seed can be a little, I guess not. Kuz has been there for, they're 6-4 in their last 10. They could be better. They're starting to get around to it. What is y'all one question for Milwaukee?
Is their ESPN coaching analyst going to actually give them a good game plan?
That's rough, man. I think for me, my question for the Bucks, I can't believe I have to say this about Brook Lopez. Interior defense. I think they might have to maybe find a way. They just got to find a way around it. There was a clip from their Heat game
that was bad.
Was going viral. That was so unbelievably bad. And you know how bad you have to be where you're in a clip with Taurean Prince, and it's not actually Taurean Prince's fault. He perfectly is passing Hero off to you.
Mm-hmm.
You let him get a shot off, and then you take a mild effort at getting a rebound, and you get put in the basket.
Get bammed on.
Get bammed. I don't know. It's
there.
And I don't really know what more you could do because it's not like Bobby Portis was having a tremendous season, but Bobby Portis isn't even here anymore. So I don't know. Do you run Giannis the 5?
Yes. Yep.
Not a bad idea. It's not the worst idea, but yeah.
Giannis,
that's just my question.
Playing the 1 to the 5.
We either gotta the Bucks either have to either tighten up on the perimeter and hide Brook Lopez, or maybe, I don't know, hide him like a point guard, hide him like he's Trae Young or something, and then Giannis will protect the paint. But that's just asking a lot out of your primary scorer and primary playmaker. So, especially when he just hit that 30 mark. So, that's all I got for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think for me, my biggest question is, when are you going to buy into this team is? This is a Giannis team where Giannis at the 5 would be. Again, I talk about advantages with Evan Mobley. All of his advantages are there. All of them are there. And when I say buy into this team, that means Kevin Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma. I get it. As far as basketball goes and what this team has, they have to be a part of your best 5, best closing 5, because they are. They're better than Gary Trent, and I like Gary Trent. They're better than Andre Jackson. I'm a huge fan of Andre Jackson. They're just better. And then when Portis comes back, then you go Giannis, Portis, those two Dame. I think you're cooking with more of something now. And like I said, I think that's just going to take them continually proving themselves in the Bucks uniform. I get that. I understand that. But KPJ won that last game for them, pretty much. Just going off against the Clippers, he pretty much won that game from. And like I said, he's done terrible things. Not a great person, but as far as basketball goes, he is a good basketball player. And I think the Bucks team needs that, because they, outside of Giannis and Dame, they don't really have solidified many good basketball players. So that's my biggest question. When are you going to buy into what this team really is? And I think
you said it's buddy ball.
No, just if they become more up and down too, even buddy ball for sure. That 1-5 pick and roll, 1-4 needs to be 40% of the time. But I think outside they need to get up and down and run, because Giannis is better than half court, but he's best in the open court. Why are you trying to play so slow? Just that type of thing. I think moving those pieces around where you have Kuz at a 4, you have a KBJ in the backcourt who's better playing fast with Dame. Dame gets more quicker looks in the shot clock. You just change the team and you give them another look. So that's my biggest thing. When you gonna buy into what this team really is?
Hey, be careful how much you talk about KPJ. You might get banned.
Well, if you really wanted to get banned, you'll just take a Tylenol. You'll take a Tylenol and head to DraftKings Sportsbook. If you really don't like your job in the NBA that much, I have the quickest solution for you. We're going to go Shea, point, rebound, assist combo, 43.5 tonight. And then you know what? We'll tag that with Ant 3 threes. If you really hate the NBA and you just simply don't want to play no more, I got you. That, Tylenol, we're out.
Age will be at the game in Atlanta, so we're throwing Bam PRA in there. Don't say I didn't tell you. Thoughts?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna see one of those when he says this shot for you and he miss it. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get one of those for sure. For sure. Now we're getting into the area of maybe not contenders, but still probably the biggest question you may have about the team or not. Let's start with the Detroit Pistons. Biggest
Young
question,
guys show up. Experience.
Yeah. And that's not even something that can be solved before the playoffs. You don't know how good they're going to play in the playoffs until they get there.
But they remind me of like the Magic last year.
Yeah. That's what I said, especially with the Cade breakout, which he's certainly gotten better, but it's more just about him being healthy.
Cade not anywhere close to Paolo, though.
He's certainly having a better year than Paolo Banchero, and you could definitely argue one over the other. I'm
the biggest fan.
P5. I'm P5 front office, so not too much on my guy, but
unfortunately, I work in both front offices, so I have no choice. I'm screwed.
See, you're seeing the stocks early, and you can just see what you got to do.
I see one bad game from Cade, and I'm breaking out the Cade fat suit video again.
Yo, that's crazy because I could pull up a month of bad games from Paolo, but I wouldn't say, "Oh, Paolo's washed at the ripe age of 22." It's like,
I'm kidding.
But yeah, I would kind of say the same thing. But if I had to give, I guess, a real one, can Asar lead? And yes, Asar Thompson. What can this offense look like with Cade off the court? Can Asar replicate it as well as he possibly can? Because in the off minutes where Cade's off the court, he's on the court. Pistons aren't better. Let's not be delusional. But he does pretty well. It's very similar to what Amin does for Houston because Amin has a little bit of a longer leash with Ime. Not to say they're not doing things right. Up in Detroit. But I want to see Asar take true initiative, and they believe in him to be the backup playmaker for Cade. And that's asking for a lot. Yes, you second-year player, how will you run the offense when my fourth-year player is not on the floor? I don't know. But that's all I really got for Detroit. The expectations aren't too high. It's a couple really good young guys, a lot of savvy vets, and some good basketball.
Yep. I think my only question to the Pistons is less to the team. It's more to Bernie Bickerstaff, and it's about next year. How you improve on this? Because again, I don't think we see Eastern Conference Finals appearance in the Pistons' future, but I think you see them making the playoffs. Doing giving a decent round one effort. And I think the biggest question for me is how do you build on this? Only because you see you got a lot of talent here, and we've seen a lot of teams do that before where you see what the Magic did last year, how we talked about it. They didn't really make a big move in the offseason, in my opinion. To add to it, they kind of just ran it back. Are you going to take that same move? Huh?
Okay.
I am here. What did you say?
KCP
Oh, yeah, KCP is a big move. I forgot. But I mean, yeah, but no. But yeah. You know what, Danny? Yeah, you're right. Yes, it is a big move. But again, so are they going to do a move like that? Are they going to bring in a vet where they overpay for him a little bit just to do that? Or are they going to make a move at Detroit's own Devin Booker? I'm speaking to existence. Remember, I told y'all this when it happens. But
when it's written, Ivy and 5 picks.
Ivy, Holland, anybody can go, not named Kate. But yeah, and just in reality, I just want to see how do you improve on this because I think the Magic, I want to say took a step back because Paolo and Franz missed a lot of time this year. But yeah, just how will you improve on it? Just because we had a really good year for the Pistons, this is elite because we've only known the Pistons to be bad really since 2004, like in reality. So
my entire life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, literally.
Yo, we're not erasing 1 year Blake Griffin given his NBA career to get swept by Giannis.
And we're the Thread Bynum, Chicago's own.
Yep.
I'm not gonna rate that either.
D Rose had some good Pistons years.
Cook, stay in the kitchen.
Yep. But we can bump to a team we were kind of just referencing to, Orlando Magic. I think my only question is KCP going to do what he was brought here to do and not shoot 30% from the three? And I can't even say, oh, yeah, it's going to be solved in the next 20-ish games. I think it's the shooting, but I can just say for a fact it's just not going to be fixed. This is what they're going to do. They're going to just, hey, we're going to stop you as much as we humanly can, which they do a great job at. Paulo, keep doing what Georges Niang did. Keep shooting that mid-range, baby, because that's all we got.
Yo,
which I hate the
They're
whole...
gonna start calling him playoff kid.
Playoff what?
Instead of calling him playoff piss, they're gonna call him playoff kid.
Kith. Well, and I would say in the last couple of days, I've told y'all this before. Like Paolo Banchero just really is like just like Jason Tatum, which mind you, Paolo's been probably one of the most beloved Duke players, like Duke stars, I think I've ever seen. Like Jason Tatum gets a lot of hate. I don't know if it's necessarily because of Duke, but he went there. I'll count it.
Duke doesn't help.
It will never help your case. No, JJ Redick. Guys didn't start liking him until like 10 years ago.
Until the Clippers. He wasn't even liked on the Magic. They hate him on the Magic. Until like the Clippers.
Hey, man, they loved him on the
obviously, Leitner. People hate him to this day.
Right.
To this day, they don't like him.
Me too. I don't know why.
But Paolo is getting... Now people are like, here's a threat of Paolo is actually bad at basketball. And I don't like it. You would think I pulled up Danny's work laptop. What's with the spreadsheets? I love a good advanced stat. I'm not doing this to a 22-year-old who is one of two offensive options for his team. I'm not doing it. Yeah, he's got to do a whole lot of inefficient, stupid stuff so his team could be 500 because he had to miss 2 months of basketball after dropping 81 within a 3-night span. I'm not doing it. 2-game span. I'll put it that way. It makes it sound a little bit smart. But my thing is, can we get some offensive juice? They nearly went to the second round last year, truly without it. Not to put it on Paolo, but like if Paolo like doesn't score 2 points in the second half, maybe they have a shot. But they were getting routed. It obviously wasn't all on him. So that's me for Orlando.
You want to go next, Danny, or me?
You can go.
Oh, my biggest question is this enough proof for you? You see, I've been like actually giving like book title questions. Is this enough proof for you? And the proof being, I 100% agree. They need more scoring, and people might kill it. Orlando Magic fans might kill me for this, but I'm an actual basketball fan and player, so I can tell y'all this and not be lying. Franz Wagner is not a scorer. He is a point forward that is being forced to score because they, as Tone said, only have two options that can score. So my thing is, this is enough proof for you to let Franz be in his regular state and do what he wants to do and go get a scorer, a Cam Thomas, a Zach LaVine, all those people that were
Brandon Ingram. They
missed out on BI too. Like
I the bag already.
Right, and I think them getting a scorer is going to be what takes the Magic to the next level. A shooter was cool, but you still have to. KCP even shooting his best is going to give you 14 on his best day.
Zion,
wrong with Zion and Paolo on the same team.
Zion, Paolo, Franz. Well, you'd have to deal Franz, but
but yeah, just to my point, I think they need a real scorer, and hopefully this flame out in the playoffs or playing wherever they end up at. I hope it shows them that they need to go get a real scorer. Cam Thomas is a dream guy for me, in the sense of they don't need him to do anything but go over there and do what he does best. And you still have Suggs in the backcourt to be able to help. So I like something like that. But I'm asking if this is the year. Like, is this going to be the year that you see what is in front of you?
How would you feel about getting a guy like Trae Young?
Perfect. Anybody who can score and pass. Anybody who can score and pass. Because the Magic have literally everything else besides that, in my opinion.
I raised I raise a proposition.
They want to move John Morant so bad, move him to the Magic.
Make Andrew Nembhard Jalen Brunson. It's not enough. It's not enough touches to go around in Indiana. You see the potential in Nembhard. Hey, come sign a little 3-year little 3-year deal with us.
But that means they're giving up on Anthony Black.
Score is a part of the question. So Anthony Black, we don't, we'll figure it out at some point. But right now, he doesn't fit the parameters of the question.
Because they got KCP in the way. If KCP's out the way, put my demon Anthony Black in there, return.
Yeah, but if he's not making his shots, it's just like let the kid play, Yeah. So now we can probably steamroll these 8 through 10. You have the Heat, who just traded Jimmy Butler and is 3-7 in their last 10. We have the Hawks and the Bulls. So let's start with the Heat. What's your biggest question about them?
When are you gonna be fine with being bad? Just stop trying to compete. Just be bad and do it all over. That's my only question.
That's kind of mine. Like Hero,
Get out of purgatory.
Great, yeah. They're in Steelers mode.
I was gonna say Steelers, but I didn't want to get
They're kind of Steelers mode. They were great. They were greatness, but you just aren't comfortable with being bad. It's so the same. They missed the playoffs in the same way. It's crazy. Yeah. The Steelers. Last time they missed the play, they were 8-8 or they were 9-7. They didn't make the playoffs. The Heat will miss it when they last missed the playoffs. They were like 40-42 or something like that. Just genuinely, the refusal to be bad has led them to this point.
Yeah.
Hawks.
When are you going to free trade?
I guess that's
my biggest question.
Sneaky, shut Trae Young down. See what you look like with a Jalen Johnson led team. It's not like the end of the world. You're going to be bad. But I mean, hey, you got young players, it's
Dyson Daniels rock.
Dyson Daniels has like I think last time I saw like nearly 200 steals or something.
He has more
already.
steals than anybody else at this point or something.
Dyson Daniels,
he's ridiculous.
That's great.
Even Reese Shea might get him a win in a playing game.
Reese Shea, he's kind of been what's been advertised, a number 1 overall pick role player. So
I remember we said that on some show.
It's not like you missed on the pick, and it's not like Alexander Sarr has made you absolutely regret what you've done. He didn't want to go there anyway. Yeah, so
weird.
That boy Jared McKinney.
Yeah, that's just like you want. I guess he wanted to go to Washington and get his own shot off. I'm like, look, if I'm a young big, I got the chance to play with Trae Young. What are you doing? What are you doing? And you'll probably get to play the 4 because Onyeka is going to probably play the 5 once Capella's done. Like.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, very weird. So they're free Trae and the Bulls.
When are you gonna give it up, man? Just be bad. Like, be okay with being bad. It's the same question.
And it's not even like they're the Heat. It's not even like, oh, well, we made 2 finals before. We could do it again. No, you just suck, and you have 80 guards, and you just extended Lonzo. You're giving Giddey the green light to the point where you're gonna have to pay him $30 million a year. You're gonna have to pay him, and they're gonna do it. That's the best part. They're going to re-sign him.
I legit might watch Sixers versus Bulls tonight just to see the comedic game.
It's the Giddler, though. Don't forget the Giddler's a triple-double merchant. Can I walk y'all?
He is a PRA demon. I'm not gonna lie.
An RA demon. Like, literally, you look up the third quarter, he's got 13. He's got 13 out of nowhere. 4 points, but 13 rebounds and assists.
I have so many questions about them. When will the young kids play? When are you going to figure out who's the franchise guard? When are you just going to give Kobe White the green light? The ultimate green light.
When are you going to the young kids away from Giddler? That's of course.
The Giddler and Kobe White together?
When are you going to put him on the neighborhood watch?
Why is he around? My bad.
Certified.
Yeah, he's a very peculiar case. Why is he in our presence? But that's all the teams from the East. We can move out west now. I feel like a lot of these are a little bit more solidified. Start at the top, let's start at the top. Oklahoma City Thunder. My only question for them is second playmaker. I don't question Chet's ability, but his health.
I'm not questioning his ability. His health.
His health is certainly one. The bigs' healths are certainly one, but I don't want to be like, oh, health, because the team's not perfect. Health is for everybody. And if you have an issue outside of health legitimately, I'm going to say that one. Even though the Celtics, I definitely said a hypothetical. But the Thunder, I think mine is just a second playmaker. Shea is, of course, amazing. He's been the best player in the NBA this year. Many would say. That's saying a lot because Jokic is arguably having his best season ever. So Shea's been awesome. And they've been fine when he's off the court. You know, they're staying afloat. But can Jalen Williams maybe take a little bit of that play-making leap? Like, he gets a lot of Jaylen Brown comparisons. Not a bad place to be, but you're forever going to be there if you don't leap as a playmaker. Even to what Jaylen Brown is now. If you can just even be that, you guys are 10 times better than, you know, what you are when Shea's off the court. So figure out who's going to be doing the playmaking in the non-Shea minutes. Chris, what'd you have?
Are you going to play the two bigs? Like I see them experiment with it. But I think that may be a problem for some of the teams in the West that they can go up against. Like everybody doesn't have a Jokic, and B won't be in the playoffs on your side, even if until you see him at the end. You know, God knows. You know what I'm saying? Just it's only one.
Like
it's only one.
And like a potential them versus the Mavericks from round one is certainly possible.
Right, and that's another thing.
They might roll out AD, Lively, AD, Gafford.
Yeah. And I think that's my thing. So are you going to commit to playing those two bigs? I think that's my biggest question because outside of maybe two teams in the West, that probably won't be to your advantage. But you pay Hartenstein 30 M's a year, so it's like you know, like what are you going to do there? And I think that's the most interesting thing because I think it works with or without two bigs. I think they can figure it out. But I think it's my biggest thing because I think Chet does everything you want on offense and defense. Hartenstein's maybe a better hub at this point, like, you know, just play off of him with your guys like J-Dub being able to cut and Wiggins and stuff like that. But that's my question. Just are you going to play both bigs?
I like that. As I say, Celtics have been running double bigs for years, and it's worked for them, but it's different skill sets. They're more comparable to like Al and Rob Williams when they played together. It's not really like Kristaps and Al where they both stretch the floor at an extremely high rate. So I like that one. And especially with the lineups, like if they got to guard Anthony Davis, okay, Chet's a probably better help defender, rim protector. Hartenstein's probably better for like a post-up opportunity because AD will probably put Chet in the rim. It's interesting. It's weird that the Mavericks, that could be the 1-8 matchup, and it's so interesting.
Cinema. My biggest question would be:
it could be greatness.
My biggest question would be: if you play the teams that go small, like, do you play either of the bigs? Like, is Chet the guy you choose, or is it Hartenstein? I mean, obviously you choose Chet because the younger guy, but like,
yeah,
if you're playing against a Lakers team, which one do you want out there? Because you know they're gonna bring them both up and pick and roll the whole game. So you know what I'm saying? I think that's one of the big questions too. Like, how y'all gonna finesse that?
Danny, what's your question for the Thunder? The Thunder. I'm sure you're spitting, but you are on mute.
Yeah, I definitely did mute. Outside of Chet's health, I did want to note, are we going to see these rotational guys be able to beat some of the beat rosters we got? The Nuggets, the Celtics, the Cavs. Even the Lakers might match up well with these guys, so.
Yeah. I believe the basketball savior at Isaiah Joe. So, but it's still definitely a question to
legend Isaiah Joe, by the way.
Daryl Morey made that trade, right?
Sold. Yeah. He's sold.
Just a fool.
Imagine
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never play for a basketball team. James Harden. Let me say that. Right. He said it to a bunch of Chinese. He said, "Let me say that again." Daryl Morey is a liar. And it's funny because the kids are like big Rockets fans, and there was something going on in 2019 as well, from what I know. They know who Daryl Morey is. They don't like him.
Yeah, so that happened, and Chris, I was watching the Spurs earlier this year. I'm like, who the hell's Wemby's backup? I'm like, yo, that's Charles Bassey.
Shout out Charles Bassey, man.
Sixers legend too.
Yeah, but no, I definitady I would agree with that one. You know, role players are always going to be huge, especially their shooters, because they're what really makes Shea's job or his ability is the best driver in the NBA possible. Late closes, late double teams in the paint. You got to respect those guys. As good as Shea is, you still got to respect 3/2. So I like that one. Let's move on to the 2 seed. Tied for the 2nd seed, but obviously they have the tiebreaker. Memphis Grizzlies are right back where they were before Ja's suspension and a bunch of injuries. Danny, what does our friend Taylor Jenkins and his squad need to answer prior to postseason play?
I don't think this team, guys, has the juice to beat, to give you the full squeeze, as I said about the Eagles.
I think that the only reason I'm going to not disagree, but I feel like that's just a little harsh because how many teams in here will you give the championship benefit of the doubt anyway? You'd give it to Denver and you'd give it to Boston. Everyone else is, oh, well, you've never done it. And like the Lakers have done it because they have LeBron who's on that team. But even so, like, we'll get to the Lakers. We have our questions about them.
Fine. So. I'll land on something else.
Yeah.
It's going to be Luke Kennard.
I think that's perfectly fair.
I love Luke Kennard. I think having him give solid minutes and with Ja back, I think just seeing Luke Kennard develop this year is kind of eye-opening for what Taylor Jenkins really gives this Memphis Grizzlies team.
I think that's fair. I have my eyes on another role player, but
Yuki?
I do like that one. Mine is
Yuki.
Not Yuki. We love Yuki. Everybody love Yuki. But I have my eyes on Junior, Scottie Pippen Jr., who has been very good defensively, really good off the bench. I'm not even going to say, can Ja get back to form? Because 24-7 is certainly really good for someone who's apparently not playing at a high level. He's playing at a really high level. And Jaren
24-7 sounds like a MVP season in 2008.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Shooting splits and all. But yeah, everybody else, they have enough. I think they have enough offensive juice. I just think, me personally, Scottie Pippen Jr., 9, 3, and 4 this year, shooting the 3 ball. Well, not on many attempts a game. But his presence is certainly felt in Memphis Grizzlies games. I want to see how playable he is in a playoff setting. So that just leaves Chris for Jenkins Grizzlies.
One quick question, and it's to our guy Taylor Jenkins. Hey Taylor, thanks. When are you gonna give Ja Morant his team back? And the reason I say that is because I agree with Big Perk. For them to be something in the playoffs, Ja Morant has to be the best player and the focal point, and I 100% agree. I'm not the biggest Jaren Jackson fan, but I have appreciated his game this year and what he's done. I think he's grown a lot from the gripes that I had with him as a player. So I'm put those down for the foreseeable future because my thing was I didn't think he played tough enough. Not hard enough. I think he played hard, but I don't think he played tough enough. And I think he was a lot on discipline. Those two things I think he's been very good on. So I do want to show love with Jaren Jackson. But Ja Morant's the best player on this team. I think he needs to be treated as such. It's cool to be able to do it by committee. And I agree with, again, I think we talked about a little earlier about like just kind of experimenting. Like in the sense of if Ja is gone, you want to be able to have your team be able to operate and do without him. I get that. But I think for these last 20-some games, I would like to see them give the keys back to him. 27% pick and roll for a player as dynamic as Ja Morant just doesn't make sense to me. So I would like to see him more in the focal point role where he was before, where we're used to seeing him at.
Yeah, I think the beauty of it all, though, is that him and Jaren only play like 29 minutes a night, which is, gorgeous. But I think that's setting up to answer your question. Last time Ja Morant was in a playoff setting, he was averaging 30 on LeBron and AD with a sprained hand and all. Did not miss a step. He was even shooting better, which makes no sense. But I think 29 minutes a night, offensive load is a little lighter. We're going to tap into this postseason. This is not even going to look like the same Grizzlies team. It's going to be, I think, a lot more on Ja. Jaren's still going to do his thing. Desmond Bane has been great this year. So, yeah, I for a team that hasn't won a championship, I 100% give them the switch benefit of the doubt, just because I feel like I see it all forming. Oh, I just made the whole connection. But let's move on to the team that's tied for second, and a team that has real championship pedigree, but there's some teams coming for that 3 seed, the Denver Nuggets.
He's gonna be my favorite player. Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Some points of the season, he looked like his old self. Some points of the season, he's not looking too hot.
Flat out unplayable against LA.
Yeah. So which Russ are you gonna get in the playoffs? I think that's gonna decide, because look, we've seen how much Jokic and Murray can just duo and have Gordon eat off them.
Pick and roll, pick and pop you until the world ends.
But look, it looks like teams are starting to figure that out a little bit. So Russ rim running, it worked for a while. Can it still work? Maybe.
So my question for them, and I don't want to just say Russell Westbrook, because I'm going to be honest, for the past couple of years, playoff Russell Westbrook is just what you're getting. He's going to play really hard, but he's going to get the chucking at some point. It's not going to work. Now, granted, he has like the 2 worst shooting performances ever in like a win. I think it's like 4 for 18 twice, but he played great in both those games. I think I'm going to go to a guy. Let's say Christian Brown. This is going to be Christian Brown's like second playoff run as Bruce Brown, or, a guy who's supposed to step up in the scoring column. Russell Westbrook kind of takes care of the other stuff that Bruce Brown used to bring: energy, rebounding, playmaking. It does that way better than Bruce Brown. But it's just Christian Brown. Can you still be that fourth guy, fourth scoring option, fifth scoring option? And can you win them a playoff game? Like, if they need you to. Jamal Murray is not playing the Lakers, so he's not good. And, teams are picking up some way to stop Jokic. And Michael Porter Jr., for whatever the reason, can't throw the ball in the ocean. Can you give me a 25-point game and get us out of here with the win on the road? That would be kind of my question, because Russ is going to be Russ. Michael Porter Jr. has been phenomenal this year. And, of course, you know how the top 2 dogs go. So
my question is this the year that everybody takes a deeper look at Jamal Murray? And it's not even I'm a Jamal Murray hater. I'm just a realist, and I watch the game very closely. Jamal Murray kills the Lakers in mismatches. If Jokic cannot create a mismatch for Jamal Murray, he cannot get off. And I think that's a bigger question to me, because to y'all point, which I think are good questions too, those are role guys. I need my top guy to be there for sure. If you're my second, I need you to be there like my second. We're paying you like a second guy. I need you to be there at all times like that. And I don't think he's built for that. And I'm not built for it. I don't think he can do that without depending on Jokic to create every switch, because I think JJ Redick showed in that game plan, if you make the other 4 create, think, and do, you have a better chance than when Jokic is doing it for him. And I think if you're paying Jamal Murray upwards of 40 M's a year, he needs to be able to do that. And I'm not sure if he can. So that's my biggest question. Like, I don't know how to frame it to make it sound like a question, but is what you going to do, Jamal Murray? That's my thing. What are you going to do? Because you know what you're going to get from Jokic. Jokic had a triple-double and didn't play well, quote-unquote. He shot under 10 times and still had a triple-double because he's making plays. What are you going to do, Jamal Murray? That's my thing.
Danny, again, sure you're spitting.
Oh, I don't know why. I said, are we going to see that fadeaway over top of Anthony Davis again?
Not anymore.
He put on a yellow jersey the only way. I'm telling you, bro. Jamal, and I'm not even Jamal Murray. Hey, this sounds like I'm hating, bro. It's just, if it's not a mismatch or not the Lakers, bro, he does not kill. He just doesn't. And they can't have that. They can't have that. No,
kill mismatches.
Speaking of the Lakers owner, let's go to the Lakers, who are 34-21, 8-2 in their last 10, 11.5 games out of first place, but they're just 2 games behind the Nuggets after their big win against the Nuggets the other night.
Big.
Biggest question for the Lakers, I think for me, is kind of just going to be rotations. There's some guys in that rotation who either can't shoot or aren't seriously shooting the ball well right now. They're making their way around it when you have 2 of the 10 best offensive engines who have ever laced them up on the same team, and Austin Reeves, who is also all-star-esque. I mean, the past 30, 40 games has been absolutely amazing. So, my only how is JJ going to work the spacing out? Of course, center is an issue, but I just watched them defend Jokic pretty well. I mean, of course, you can game plan a little bit better for that in a series if you're Mike Malone. But I think JJ's done a great job working around it. So, yeah. How are we going to roll out DFS, who's shooting Vando, who can't shoot, and a center in Jackson Hayes, who also can't shoot. Jackson, let me rephrase. Jackson Hayes, who is not able to play basketball offensively without Luka, Braun, or Austin Reeves. Which, granted, he'll never see a court without them, so he doesn't really have to worry about that. But spacing, that's my question for JJ Redick. I think the more games they play with Braun and Luka, the more we'll figure this out, even if that means making AR come off the bench so that you have real shooting playmaking there. I think JJ will figure it out, though. He loves ball, so.
Ball knower, I should say.
He's just a podcaster.
Honestly.
He doesn't really know anything about basketball.
Maybe I'm next. My biggest question is, when do the playoffs start? And the reason I say that is because I think out of all the things people are forgetting, there's no team that shoots better threes more and better than the Boston Celtics. They're in the East. All you have to do is get through the West, and you can get through the West making twos. The Thunder do it all the time. They have random shooting. They shoot 53s, make 12. Sounds good in theory, but in 7 games, it's not going to happen. So my thing is, when do the playoffs start? Because I've seen flashes of what JJ is going to do with Vando. And I'm going to show y'all something like after when we go. He's turned Vando and Jackson Hayes into Derek Lively put together, and I'll tell you why. Derek Lively is the lob threat, and that's what Jackson Hayes has been doing. But he's also been that connecting piece in the middle of the lane where he catches it and makes the next pass off the blitz and screen and roll. He's had Vando in that role to where now, even though he can't shoot, he's not even far from the rim. So he's making the next pass, and he's going to crash, doing what he does well. And I think, like I said, for a team that can't shoot, having your best rebounders in place to make rebounds is one of the small adjustments that only a coach like Redick, not only a coach like Redick, but a good coach like Redick is going to make. So I'm excited to see that. And I'm excited to see 2 of the best players get together and figure it out. I've watched LeBron figure it out with other guys. I've watched Luka figure it out with Kyrie, with Brunson, with Porzingis. I've watched them figure it out. That's just what I'm interested for. So my biggest thing is, when do the playoffs start? Because I've watched these guys play meaningful, good minutes in the regular season. Yes, it is a regular season, but at the end of the day, that's where you get your reps at. So that's my biggest question. When do the playoffs start? Even though I know.
Yeah.
Love that.
Danny, what's your question for King James and the crew?
I was just going to say some chemistry. I want to see the next until the playoffs start. I want to see the chemistry develop.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do have one little side question for the Lakers. When you just going to let the kid just stay in the G League, he be killing in the G League. Bronny averages 23 points per game in a G League. Can y'all please just let him stay and develop? He does not need to go on that. He don't need to hop on a plane with y'all to go to Phoenix. He don't need to do it. Even if he gets some garbage time minutes, just please let my youngin stay and continue to develop. Because I promise you, I think he's on the course of a really good G League player into maybe that good long NBA career. I really see it. I really do. So, the Bron and him stuff is cool, but just for the player, Bronny James specifically, I like what he's been doing in the G League. And I think he's played less G League games than all his teammates besides Stanley Johnson, who just got there. But he really got no business being in the G League. He's dead wrong for that.
I was Stanley Johnson.
Stanley Johnson averaging 27. Dude. Go get a 10-day, bro. You making me mad.
You're get that Lakers roster, y'all. I'm telling you, it's coming.
Bro, he need to get on the main roster, bro. He taking touches. He making me mad. He the connective down there. Let's move on to the Houston Rockets, another young team who have caught a lot of people by surprise. They are 3-7 in their last 10, to be noted, and the Lakers have leapfrogged them again for the 4 seed. We'll start with Chris on this one. What is your question for Houston?
Ooh, Where are you gonna find the shooting? That's my only thing. And I know we just talked about the Lakers not having to do. I know the whole spiel I just gave, but the Rockets play a different game than the Lakers do because their team is constructed very differently. And I don't think that they don't have the shooting. It's just the reason I say where is you have so many players who can play, who may deserve minutes. Like when it comes playoff time, how are you going to do that? And I think Ime Udoka is a great coach. Personally, that's my personal opinion. I think he's a really good coach. So I think he will figure it out. But that's my thing because Van Vliet, big time player, does not shoot well percentage wise. Now he's going to make big time shots. I do believe in that, but percentage wise, he doesn't shoot well. Dylan Brooks, if Dylan Brooks is your most consistent shooter, I don't think that's the best formula. It can work, but I don't think it's the best formula. So that's my thing. Where are you gonna get the shooting from? Because you have the playmaker, you have the athleticism. Just where you gonna get the shooting from when it comes to 7-game series and the team really locked in on guarding you.
I like that. My question for Houston. There will be playoff series where you're gonna have to throw out, Şengün and Amin Thompson, who both can't shoot and both need the ball in their hands. Now, Jalen Green also needs the ball in his hands, but he will light you up from anywhere on the floor. He's just gonna be inconsistent. That's what he is. It's what his shot diet calls for. It's just gonna happen. How will Ime decide how to work that in the playoffs? Because Amin, you could if you just surface level wanted to chalk it up to, he's going to look like Russell Westbrook. It's not the end of the world, but it certainly, I don't want to say it doesn't elevate. It certainly elevates, but it's just like you might not win a championship that way. But I think Amin is a little bit different. With Şengün, he can't defend either, or he's not the best defender. Let me put it lightly. So I'm just interested to see how is Ime going to make his top two playmakers share the ball, and I guess a little side piece, Jalen Green. I'm not questioning it. I'm interested to see how he is affected in that. So Danny, that leaves you, and your query about Houston.
I really got to see how much this team can actually compete against great teams. I feel like they're gonna play their game, but when another team makes them play their game, can they adjust to that and win a game?
Yeah. Ime hasn't seen playoff basketball in about 3 seasons now, and this team is just very inexperienced. So I think of all the young teams that don't get the benefit of the doubt, it's probably them. But we'll see.
Especially out west.
Let's go to the
East. If they were in the East, I might be talking different.
Maybe. But unfortunately, the problem is that the Celtics are like a team that's built to like win the West, and then you place them in the East. So the season doesn't start until June. So even last year, the season never started. There was never a doubt. There was a doubt, but in hindsight. Let's go to the other team in LA who sit 3.5 games back from the 5 and 4 seeds, 30 more than 25, a flat 5 and 5 in their last 10. The Los Angeles Clippers. My question for the little brothers, I guess if we want to put it that way. Yeah, I'm not just going to chalk it up to the health of Kawhi Leonard. I'm not doing that. I kind of do it the Celtics way, where the Celtics, I was saying, what would you look like if this player is out? What will they do if Kawhi is out? I want to see how Norman Powell and James Harden will hold up in a playoff series. Ben Simmons is here now. You have another primary playmaker who can't stretch the floor like Harden does. He can get downhill. He can drive and kick to these shooters. Like Derrick Jones Jr., Amir Coffey, like those are guys that I think will come up huge in a playoff series, but it's really going to be on James and Norman if Kawhi is out. Now, if Kawhi is playing, this team is very interesting. They pique my interest at the very least for 2 games. But that's just my thing. How will those two be able to carry the playmaking and scoring load? We can throw Ben Simmons in that conversation as well. How can those three How can Ben Simmons make himself valuable in a playoff setting? That's mine.
I like that. I think, well, just to that point, if they use Ben Simmons in a Vando role, where the thing I was just talking about, where you have him really defending and playing in that short role, he can be special because he's a better basketball player than Vando. So I agree with that. My question is, since the Clippers are so used to doing it by committee, who do you cut out of your committee? Like when it comes playoff time, like who loses minutes? And I think that's my biggest thing because the Clippers can go 11 deep any night and still win. But when it gets time to cut those rotations, or are you going to cut those rotations? I think that's my thing. Like, what are you going to do with the committee that helped you get there so long, help you get there this whole time? Now, they got Bogdan now. You need shooting on the court at all times. So does he take some minutes from a defender like Chris Dunn? Does Simmons being there take those playoff minutes away from Chris Dunn? You know, just like how will they run that that they do by committee? So that's my biggest look to them. Just how will you manage the committee to help you guys so far?
Yeah, the Lakers Clippers meet in a playoff series. Vando and Ben Simmons going to make the court look like an early 2000s basketball game.
Sign me up. I'll be there.
They're putting Ben Simmons on LeBron.
Straight paint clogging, and LeBron going to prove he was getting buckets any way, shape, or form, regardless. 5 people in the paint, man. We run and dunk, man. We turn on Giannis mode. What's your question for LA, Danny? LAC, sorry.
Norman Powell. Can you be an elite scoring option in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's fair. He's never been called upon to be the number one scorer in a playoff setting. It's definitely different than regular season, and you won't know until we get there. So I think that's fair. Moving on to a team I guess we could say has been relatively disappointing. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Game behind the Clippers, 31-27 on the season. Leading scorer, the young, the great Anthony Edwards at 27.7 a game. I think my question's pretty lame. And he's been doing it a little bit more recently, so not too much on him. Jaden McDaniels, will this version of you that is 6'9", can dribble, is allowed to put the ball on the floor, is that going to show up in the playoffs? I think that could go a really long way. Because, of course, the whole offense is built, he stands in the corner, Ant kicks it to him, and he shoots. But if you can start putting the ball on the floor, teams could be a little more hesitant to come out to you if you just, play your game. You don't just have to be a 3-and-D. That is your main thing, but, you can always go get your own. And it's a development to this hypothetical offense that people keep talking about that you have. So mine is, can he help space the floor by driving, I guess? Can you space the floor by doing the opposite? You have to be a threat. Because if you're only going to shoot the 3, they are closing out on you hard. But if you're, you put them on skates a little bit, I think it really does open up the offense, especially when you have dubious handle taking up 18 shots a game. So we're going to need another pretty solid offensive threat. That's what I got from Minnesota. There are other questions, but
yeah, my biggest question
I'd be here all day.
Is going to be, are you going to give the young guys viable minutes? Ken Shannon and Dillingham, can they give you actual playing time in a playoff setting or even down the stretch?
I think it's a fair question to ask. I mean, before those guys, you're probably 7, 8 deep.
But the problem is these guys have the ability to become one of the better scoring options off the bench, but we haven't seen.
Yeah, I think the only problem is it'll be a little sacrificial.
Yeah.
Are we? Alexander Walker is his minutes getting cut? Are we cutting Mike Conley's minutes in a playoff setting? Like, probably not. You probably need him on the floor more than anybody outside of Gobert and Edwards. So it's hard to say, but I think Rob is definitely can definitely be enticing. Terrence Shannon just hasn't really got like the burn that you would hope for of a player of his caliber, but you get it. It's a competitive team in the West. The fact that Rob even gets any light is by God's grace. So But Terrence Shannon is a very good player, so I do see where you're coming from. And we can go to Chris. Does your question have anything to do with Julius Randle?
No.
Or you just have no hope? We're not even questioning it no more.
He
No,
sucks.
I know he's coming back at some point. I think I looked and say he just got
Bad.
reevaluated, so I think
It's awful.
I'd be on my
shouldn't
knees
come
if
back.
I was a Timberwolves fan. I would be screaming in agony if I knew he was coming back.
Yeah,
Please
well,
don't.
get ready to scream. And at the end of the day, for me, I think is when you're gonna go small. And I think the reason I say go small is I agree with both of y'all points about Rob and those other players being on the court. If Gobert is the defensive guy that everyone says he is, and the awards show that he should be able to be the only big on the court, and you play 4 out 1 in. That way you have Ant give more freedom, you give him more space to roll, you get Rob Dillingham on the court, even with Conley. Sometimes, and I know that's very small, but just for spurts when you need that scoring, you just give yourself more options. I hate that they try to play two bigs, even without Cat, which is weird because that seemed like why you would move him, IDK. But I think you should just go and commit to that small ball lineup. And I think that's my question. When are you going to commit to small ball?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point though. Because it's different than Utah. Like Utah, they tried to do that, but it was like 4 dudes who can't defend. That's entirely different. This team would be Conley, serviceable at his age. Edwards, good defender. Let's say you went Jaden McDaniels,
Yep.
a premium defender. And let's say Nickeil Alexander-Walker, premium defender. Even if it's not that, it's Julius Randle, who is a little bit better of an on-ball defender.
And he's strong at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's strong. He can body up.
Yeah.
Don't catch him lacking though. He's not paying attention off ball, but on ball, I can respect his work. So I love that one honestly because I do believe Gobert would be able to thrive in a situation like that.
I think he looks even better because then now you got 3 guards driving, helping him get lobs. Now that 8 points goes up to 14, now you're cooking with something. Because that's my thing. I think, like I said, if it's Dillingham or Conley, but you still have Nickeil out there, you still have a plus defender, you still have JD, you still have. I think that could be something for sure.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next team, Dallas Mavericks, who are a completely new look, of course, with Anthony Davis, who is out, but they're staying in the playoff float. My only question is, I think in the first game, I can't remember the starting lineup they did when they rolled out AD for the first game. Well, I guess it doesn't matter because the other 2 bigs were already hurt anyway. Are you gonna give Anthony Davis his dying wish of playing the 4? And I think they should. Because you have a rare size advantage on practically every other team, probably besides like the Nuggets, because Jokic is just one dude. But I think that's probably what they should do. I'm interested to see if they can stay afloat so that AD can get back before the playoffs and you can just experiment a little bit. Who does he play better with, Gafford or Lively? Who, does he look? How does he look in the minutes at the 5 alone? And you run maybe some smaller hoops with like Najee Marshall and a PJ. Obviously, Kyrie's going to be a guard. You're starting small, but that's more so what I'm interested in. And I'm also interested in the defensive potential of this team. Can they stall teams out to the point where, you know what, it's 4th quarter. We just got to, beat them to 21, essentially. Kyrie AD going to take you home, but you just got to hold it down for the first 3 quarters. That's my question for them. Are we running double big?
No, I don't really have too much of a different question, so I'm gonna pick a second one I had. Like, who's gonna be your third guy? And I think that's my biggest question because you might have brought it to be Clay. PJ's probably been the best third guy on your team. All things considered, when Luka was there with Kyrie and now with AD. So think who's gonna be your third guy? Not saying it has to be so big to where you know who is, but hierarchy matters. So I think that's my biggest deal. Who's gonna be your third guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, this team just falls in what I like to call the Pittsburgh Steelers purgatory for me. I just don't see them competing to win a championship this year. But I guess the biggest question with that relies around how well these players will actually play together. If AD coming back for the playoffs, they're going to have about him and Kyrie are going to have like 5 games together, probably max. I just don't like how the outlook after he got hurt for the season. It's not good.
I think that's fair. let's move on to the Warriors, who are a lot more interesting than the 9 seed they are
For
carved out to
sure.
be. Steph Curry has turned into an entirely different basketball player ever since Jimmy has rolled around. Jimmy is obviously doing his thing, and the energy seems contagious. We can start with Chris. What's your question for Golden State?
Is this real? Question mark. Because they look
It
really,
is.
really good right now. They look good. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think my biggest question is more so to Steve Kerr. Will you in the playoffs let Jimmy be Draymond? Meaning, Jimmy does everything Draymond does, but better. You put him in that hub-ish role, and you put even more spacing, scoring around Steph. I think you really unleash him even more. So I think
Pods instead of Draymond in.
Anything but Pods. You can put Moses Moody in, but Pods has been hooping. He's been hooping. But I like even to Danny's point, even a Pods, Moody, like it's just other guys you can give that you think give you more scare on offense if you're another team. So I think in the playoffs that could be a good wrinkle to throw in. And then you still have Kuminga, who I think should be back for playoffs if they make it and stuff. So just decided, I think, is this real? And then like, are you going to let Jimmy be Draymond? I think that's my.
Oh, they're going to make it.
They should. They have an easy schedule too coming up. Their next,
Yeah.
their games aren't hard.
Well, Nicola Claxton could game them. You never know.
He's done it before.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to Chris. Is this just real, or is this just like, honeymoon phase with Jimmy? I do think it's real, but also in a playoff setting, having Jimmy and Draymond on the court at the same time, who I don't want to say are ultra similar players, but they both don't like to really shoot. Not saying Jimmy can't, but he doesn't really like to. I think he's willing to change it if it's a shot at a championship. But my one message to the West is don't let them in. Don't let them in because they can be dangerous fast. And please, if y'all do let them in, please eliminate them before June because I promise you they're beating the Celtics. But not off basketball, not off analytics. It's just my two biggest nightmares in the last 5 years on the same court. I'm not going to have a good time. And then we'll move on to the last one, who is kind of not as interesting as the first team off. But last team's the Kings. The Suns, we talk about you if you were good enough, but you're a game and a half out of the play-in with two of the top 12 players in the NBA.
Man, the Kings can get out of here. They belong with the Cooper flag race.
They should, but they're so used to bad basketball they can't commit to.
That beam is
Bulls, I fear, all the way around.
That beam is running out of LED lights.
It's crazy because they're 500. They're not entirely like the Bulls, but yeah, true. I'd have to agree.
I think my biggest thing with the Kings is I didn't want to say why, but like what are you going to do if you get in the playoffs? That's my question. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I don't really see much light. And it's funny enough, I don't see much light the beam in their tunnel. I don't know. I think my biggest question is if you get in the playoffs, what are you going to do? That's my things. I don't know they're going to beat anybody. Like, I don't see them like, the Kings are a tough matchup for like the Pelicans, but the Pelicans won't be there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're a tough matchup for teams who won't be there. So, I don't know.
Stray is crazy.
My fault, Trey Murphy and Zion and legend CJ McCollum. Sorry.
Yeah. But that is 20 questions for 20 playoff / play-in teams. And since we're off that topic, we did bring up the Pelicans. Zion is at a career low, 264 pounds. Shout out to him. It's really
y'all laughed at me when I said he was 280 at Duke. Not y'all, but people in the world laughed at me. I said, I think he's about 280. Nah, bro, he can't be. He's like 255.
He was big. Okay. Like his senior year of high school and Duke, like that's two different dudes. Like seriously. High school, he's probably 250. So, yeah. But thank you guys for tuning in. Again, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Or if you're on audio, leave a like, follow the show, download, 5-star review, all that good stuff. AP New Freezer, Culture by Amigos, DC Comics. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on hopefully Thursday or Friday.